Age of Empires 2 is certainly one of the best RTS games ever released, without the question. There are 45 civilizations in total. The base game, The Age of Kings, was released with 13 civilizations. 5 were added in the Conqueror's expansion, 5 in the Forgotten, 4 in the African Kingdoms, 4 in the Rise of the Rajas, the same number in the Last Scans, 2 in Lords of the West, 2 also in the Dawn of the Dukes, 3 in Dynasties of India, 1 in Return of Rome, and 2 in the Mountain Royals. As we all know, the Mountain Royals came with 2 civilizations, with Armenians and Georgians, plus a unique campaign for the Persians. In this video, we shall talk more about Thoros the Great, who played a very important role in the history of Cilicia and Armenia. I decided to do this series because I studied history. Yes, I am a historian, and they are historical events which are missing from the campaign. And this is the problem not just for this campaign, but also for all the campaigns in Age of Empires 2. That's why I decided to make this series so that I can present to you a different view on all of those campaigns, and also different view on all of those historical characters, historical persons, historical figures who existed in the past. So I hope that you will enjoy these guys. And yeah, let's start with Thoros the Great, with the Armenians. At the beginning of the first mission, we get our good boy Renaud de Chatillon, who is the narrator of this campaign. In intro he mentioned that Thoros was the second son of the Cilician Armenian king, and that the Byzantines eventually took the kingdom easily, and threw Thoros and his father into the deepest dungeon in Constantinople. Now here are the things which I would like to mention. Yes, Thoros was the second son of Leo I, who was a lord of Armenian Cilicia. In 1136, Leo I was made prisoner by Baldwin of Marash, who sent him off to captivity in Antioch. Leo I had 5 sons and possibly 2 daughters. His sons were of course Thoros, Stefan, Mlech, Rupen, and Constantine. In his absence, his sons started to fight over control of all the Armenia. The eldest of them, Constantine, was eventually captured and blinded by his brothers. After 2 months of captivity, Leo I obtained his liberty and returned to Cilicia. In the early summer of 1137, Byzantine Emperor John II Comnenus came to Cilicia with a full force on his way to take Antioch. His army took Seleucia, Korikos, Tarsus, Mamistra, Adana, Tel Hamdun, and Anazarbus. Leo I took refuge in the Taurus mountains, but then surrendered himself to the conqueror. Thoros and his youngest brother Rupen were also taken captive together with their father. They were dragged away to Constantinople, where Leo I died in 1141. Rupen, who was the youngest brother of Thoros, after being blinded, was killed by the Byzantines. Renaud de Chatillon doesn't mention Rupen, who was Thoros' brother, and doesn't also mention the name of his father, Leo I. Maybe because he didn't know about Rupen, that's why he didn't mention his name. But he should know about Leo I, because Leo I, he was a father of Thoros II, Thoros the Great. So this is very interesting that he doesn't mention his name in the intro. Renaud de Chatillon also mentioned that his father was brutally murdered in Constantinople. Now this information is nowhere to be found in the primary sources, or at least let's say I didn't find anything about this on the internet, okay? So, saying that Leo I, you know, Thoros' father was brutally murdered is, in my opinion, stupid. It is false narrative. Because, on the contrary, okay, when Leo I and his two sons were in Constantinople, later they were allowed to live on court under the protection of Byzantine Emperor, which means at first they were like prisoners, but then later they were living just like nobility. So, you know, he was not brutally murdered, okay? At least I didn't find anything like this on the internet. And I don't think primary sources are even mentioning something like this, that his father was brutally murdered. So I really don't know from where Reino de Chatillon got this information, but it is basically incorrect. At least what I know. Reynolds also mentioned that Thoros was seduced by a Greek princess into helping him escape the prison and board a ship to Cilicia. Like, come on, Reynolds, you can do better. He was not seduced by a Greek princess. At least I didn't find it in the primary sources, because here I got the primary source. This primary source is Chronicle of Armenia Minor from Vahram of Edessa, and he, in his chronicle, mentioned this. I will show you. But the emperor's party said that Thoros, during the time the Greeks stayed in the country, lived with a lady who gave him a great sum of money. With these treasures he fled to the mountains, and discovered himself to a priest as the son of Leo, the true king of the country. The priest was happy at these tidings, and Thoros hid himself under shepherd's disguise. There were many Armenians in this part of the country who, being barbarously treated by the Greeks, died for their former masters. To these men, as it is said, the priest imparted the joyful tidings. They instantly assembled and appointed Thoros their baron. He gained possession of Vaca and afterwards of many other places. Let this be as it may, it was certainly ordained by God that this man, who was carried away as a prisoner, should become the chief of the country, of his forefathers, that he should take the government out of the hands of the Greeks and destroy their armies. So, as we can see from this primary source, he was not seduced by Greek princess at all. On the contrary, in the primary source, you know, in this Chronicle of Armenia Minor, it is mentioned that, yes, Thoros lived with a lady who gave him a great sum of money, and with these treasures he fled to the mountains. But this lady was not a Greek princess. Do you know why? Because this time takes place in Armenia, or let's say in Cilicia. So this time takes place after his escape from Constantinople. That's how it is, guys. This takes place after his escape from the city. But what Reynolds said in his narration was true, because Thoros, he escaped from the Constantinople. The reality is that Thoros escaped from Constantinople around the year 1143. His first destination was Cyprus, which was under the Byzantine rule back then. He then found his way to Antioch, where he took refuge, because there in Antioch, his cousin, Count Euskilin II of Edessa, was ruler back then. From there, in the company of a few trusted comrades, Thoros returned to Armenia, where he began gathering new following. He, of course, captured the family stronghold of Vaca, which is, as you know, the first mission of this Armenian campaign, as you know. And two of his brothers, Stefan and Mlech, both of them joined him. And here is also a very interesting thing. He made friends with a neighboring Frankish lord Simon of Raban, whose daughter he married. So this is very interesting. The events like capturing Vaka castle, two of these brothers joining him, plus gathering new followers. All of this happened in the first mission, as you know, in the first level of this Thoros campaign. So there is no problem with the first mission in this regard. I can say that this mission is pretty historically accurate. What's however interesting is that Thoros married Simon of Raban's daughter. As we know, Simon appeared in the first mission as a neutral AI player, but nowhere is mentioned the marriage between his daughter and Thoros II when it comes to the narration. Maybe Reynold didn't know about it, but then again I highly doubt about it, because Reynold, he knew Thoros the Great. He knew, they both basically knew each other. So Reynold, I believe he knew about the marriage between him and Simon of Raban's daughter. The second mission, the Emperor's Revenge, portrays Battle of Mamistra, which took place in 1152. Byzantine Emperor Manuel I sent his cousin Adonikos I Komnenos with an army to recover the territory lost to Thoros. But Thoros was well prepared for the unexpected Byzantines and won a decisive victory at the Battle of Mamistra in 1152. The Byzantine army was routed and fled back in disgrace to Constantinople. Another very important source is the Chronicle of the Kingdom of Little Armenia, wrote by Sempat the Constable. Sempat the Constable wrote this: in the same year, Leo's son, Thoros, took Mamistra and Tel Hamdun from the Romans, and seized Duke Thomas. Duke Andronicus, who was charged with protecting the land of the Cilicians by order of the Roman Emperor, came to the city of Mamistra with 12,000 cavalry against Thoros. And he boasted, shouting out to Thoros, "Behold, your fathers are on chains. I will take you bound in them to Constantinople, like your father." When valiant Thoros heard this, he was unable to bear the insult. Instead, placing his trust in God, he assembled his forces, breached Mamistra's wall at night, and attacked Byzantine troops like a lion, putting them to the sword. Among those who died in the great battle before the city gates was Lord of Barbaron Sempat. Among those captured were Oshin, Lord of Lampron, Basil, Lord of Parcepert, and Tigran, Lord of Prakan, all of whom were on the side of the Emperor. Thoros' troops seized and despoiled the weak Roman forces, and then let them go. As we can see, the information about the Byzantine army being twice as big as Armenian army is actually correct. From sources we know that Armenian army has about 7,000 men. In this scenario, you face not just Byzantines but also Hetumis, who are presented as all rivals of Thoros' family. However, from historical sources we know Hetumis were not present in the actual battle, and we are not really that sure about the rivalry between two dynasties because nowhere it is mentioned in primary sources. The third mission is also very interesting. From intro we know that Byzantine Emperor asked Reynold to intervene against Thoros. This is historically accurate because when Byzantines were defeated at the Battle of Mamistra, the Emperor turned to Antioch for help. He offered to recognize the new prince Reynold of Chatillon if the Franks of Antioch would fight for him against Thoros. He also promised a money subsidy if the work were properly done. Reynold complied, as the Armenians had advanced into the district of Alexandretta, which the Franks claimed as part of the Principality of Antioch. Reynold was able to defeat the Armenians. After a short battle near Alexandretta, having secured the land that he wanted, Reynold demanded the subsidies from the Emperor, but the Emperor refused, pointing out that the main task had yet to be done. Reynold then sided with Thoros, and conspired to attack Cyprus. The subsidies were of course mentioned by Renon himself in outro, but he also mentioned that the emperor refused to pay them. Basically, we can say the first mission is the short battle of Alexandretta. What is interesting, in this mission we got Seljuks and Simon Daraban. I should mention neither Simon nor Seljuks were presented in actual battle of Alexandretta. I don't know why developer decided to add Seljuks and Simon Daraban into this mission. Maybe they wanted to make this mission more interesting. I don't know. The fourth mission, Bloody Crestways, is about sacking of Cyprus. Nothing to say here, this mission is actually historically accurate. Because in the spring of 1156, Reynold and Thoros made a sudden landing on Cyprus. Both of course conduct widespread plundering of the island. The Franks and Armenians were robbing and pillaging every building that they saw, pillaging churches and convents as well as shops and private houses. So basically, when it comes to the fourth mission is pretty historically accurate because this is what they both did. So nothing to say more about this. Now the last mission, the fifth mission is very interesting. The fifth mission is called Of Turncoats and Traitors. This mission is basically trying to portray the second Byzantine attack against Cilicia. In this mission, you are basically in the besieged city of Tarsus and trying to survive the Byzantine onslaught. In this mission, you got also Reynold de Chatillon, who will of course betray you, as we all know. And in this mission, you also got Thoros brothers, Stefan and Mlech, and one of those two will give you his base, as you know, after when you leave Tarsus. And also in this mission you got Turks as well, Seljuks. This mission is, completely inaccurate and stupid. I'm sorry guys, I am really sorry, but this mission is, definitely historically inaccurate. I will explain to you, okay? I will try to explain as best as I can. In the summer of 1158, Manuel I Comnenus launched his second attack on Thoros. He marched down into Cilicia. There, with a small rapid deployment force of horsemen and Seleucian troops, he launched a surprise attack on Thoros. Thoros was at Tarsus, suspecting nothing, when suddenly one day in late October, a Latin pilgrim came back to tell him that he had seen imperial troops only a day's march away. Thoros collected his family, his friends, and his treasure, and fled at once to the mountains. That's right guys, Thoros didn't stay in Tarsus and fought against Byzantines. He fled to the mountains. Thus much of Cilicia was restored back to Byzantine control, but Thoros still held the mountainous regions in the north. Thoros didn't stand a chance against such a massive Byzantine army. He will eventually lose this war. But then, Baldwin III, the king of Jerusalem, intervened and mediated a peace treaty between the emperor and Thoros. Thoros had to walk barefoot to the camp of the emperor and ask for forgiveness. Forgiveness was granted. Here I can actually understand why developers decided to change these events to be something, how can I say, more interesting, more heroic for the Armenians, because let's be honest, if this mission followed the historical events, then this mission will be pretty boring, let's be honest. Because yes, as you know, in the last chapter of this campaign, you are, as you know, defending Tarsus, and then you are retreating to the either Mlech base or Stefan base, as you know. And as you know, one of those two will give you his base under your control. And then of course you are going to defeat all three opponents, as you know. You are going to defeat the Byzantines, the Reynold who betray you, and of course the Seljuks. Now, as we know from historical sources, this went completely different. So that's how it is. And that's all, my friends. As we can see, this campaign is very interesting, to say the least. Although this campaign is in some aspects far from being historically accurate, I think we can all understand why they decided to change some, let's say, historical events. The prime example is, of course, the last mission and the third mission. Why those two missions basically are completely different from the true historical events which happened in the past. Still, this campaign is very interesting and I had a lot of fun playing this campaign. I really enjoyed this campaign, and I think you guys enjoyed that campaign as well. Just like you enjoyed other two campaigns from this DLC, which was, Ismail and Tamar as well. And yes, my future plans is of course to cover those two campaigns as well, and I'll be of course covering other campaigns as well. Okay guys, so thank you for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed this video, this introduction to the new series which I'll be doing on YouTube. Yes, this first video was about the Armenians and about their historical figure, Thoros the Great. What will be the second civilization? Right now, I don't know, I cannot tell you. We will see. Again, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed this. Consider subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below. Plus, visit me on social websites like Twitter and Instagram. I'm on Twitter every day, so don't forget to visit me there as well. So see you later and have a nice day.